The Garage 96.1 Breakfast, punishing politics, blistering banter, and serious sport.
We're very, very, very privileged to be here in the Garage 96.1 Big Breakfast Show to be joined by Ralph Hall, the original drummer from the post-punk band The Opposition. Ralph, great to see you. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
Great.
Ralph, I understand you're not a morning person, so thank you for coming in the morning and having a chat to us.
Yeah, it's not rock and roll, is it?
Look, Ralph, so do you just want to quickly tell people what you're up to these days? What are you doing in your part-time job and outside of the music?
I'm doing a bit of Uber driving, actually.
There you go. So people, if you want to get Ralph on the Uber drive, look out for him and you can hop and have a ride. We'll talk to Ralph a bit more soon after Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart. You're on the Garage 96.1. Ralph Hall, if you missed it, he's the drummer from The Opposition's, a UK band. Great to have you here, Ralph. Really good to hear.
Thanks very much.
No worries.
You had the same manager as George Michael. Tell us a bit about Simon Napier Bell.
Yeah, well, back in the day, we did a gig at the Rock Garden and a few record companies turned up. And Simon Napier Bell turned up. He also manages a band called Japan as well. And that's where he picked us up and he signed us to Ariana Hansa. Actually, at the same time, we had a guy called Chris Perry that was on Fiction Records, and he was developing The Cure, and he wanted to do the same with us. But the band was so skint that we took the Areola deal and we took the advance. So,
is there any regrets in that, or are you happy with your decision?
Not really, because after a year we were thrown off the label. But yeah, that was the very first Opposition. It was like a white reggae band. That wasn't what it is now.
More from you coming up next, but we've got the Black and White by The Opposition. When did you say you wrote this song? Back in
Oh, it was about 1980.
Awesome. Black and White by The Opposition. You're listening to The Garage 96.1. It's the Garage 96.1 Big Breakfast Show. We're joined by Ralph Hall, who's the drummer from The Opposition, the band that just played that song, Black and White. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Black and White, Ralph?
Well, it's very English, really. Well, like it says, sitting in an English garden, drinking tea, eating cakes. So,
straightforward.
Yeah, it's very subtly political, really.
Well, I'll take you back to your first single, and that was A Very Little Glory.
Yeah.
And NME magazine reviewed it as a song before its time, recorded before its time. How does that make you feel about that song, Very Little Glory?
Well, we was very experimental, really, at the time. We just found our own sound by just locking ourselves away in a basement. I think Mark came up with that song without us jam, because we used to jam a lot, and that's how a lot of the songs came. But he came up with that whole song to us, and then we put our parts to it.
And that was made independently. That was made by the label Double Vision Records.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about working with them compared to...
That was our own label. We started our label with another band called Victims of Circumstance. And then we put our own single out. And I think what you're saying is what the difference between that and working with a big record company. Yeah. The big record company, they sort of...
that was Charisma, wasn't it?
Yeah. They tried to turn us into a bit of a pop band, so they had us all going out and with one of the people there, and bought us a load of stripy T-shirts, trying to turn us into the Police or something, which didn't really work. And they was always pushing me to try and get Mark to write a single. It never really happened. We had this sound, and I suppose it didn't cater for the commercial side.
Did you have quite a small local following on the other hand? Did you have people who didn't so much listen to that big commercial stuff, but you followed you around touring and stuff?
We had a following.
Yeah, good.
We had more of a following in France.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so we were more known in France than that's why we and then we got a French manager That was in them days.
Why do you think you had that following in France compared to the United Kingdom?
Well, they were into all the the stuff like Joy Division and the Cure and that. I think we was actually bigger than the Cure at one time in France. That's when we first went over there. Then they overtook us. But yeah, we used to do a lot of gigs in France, and we did have a French record deal with Just AZ, but they went bankrupt. But that's another story.
It's the Big Breakfast Show. We're joined by Ralph Hall, the drummer from The Opposition. We'll talk to him more after this. It's the Garage 96.1 with The Jam. We're joined by Ralph Hall, the drummer from The Opposition. Ralph, you were talking to us both before about your last gig with The Opposition. Could you please tell people a little bit about that?
Okay, it was in Paris. It was the place called the Bataclan. People might know it because it was actually invaded by terrorists. They blew it up a few years ago. So I was well out of there by then. I mean, by 85. Yeah, that was my last gig. And we headlined that gig. And yeah, Billy Bragg supported us on that gig, funny enough.
Being in the music scene in the UK in the 80s, did you ever meet or work with anyone that was big names?
I remember doing Reading and I met Bono. He came into our caravan that was there. Just a little chat with him. But I think the biggest guy that I met was Paul McCartney. He came into Pie Studios while we were cutting an album. And yeah, he came in there with Linda and she made me a cup of coffee and we got chatting for about half an hour. It's quite funny, really. And he liked people like the Police and Madness and things like that, he was saying. But he's a very normal guy, yeah.
And you just talked to him about music, did you, just then? Or did you talk about other things as well?
No, more about music. I think he was there to do something, cutting a record or something.
And you said you met Bono as well. What was he like to meet?
Yeah, I didn't talk to him that much, actually. He was praising Billy Bragg for his songs, so it's a bit weird. But yeah, he was okay. It was only him I met. He was the only one that came in the caravan. I didn't meet the rest of the band.
What kind of competition did you have with bands in the UK in the 80s? Any major bands that you didn't like so much or were kind of fighting for the ratings?
Well, we supported a lot of bands. I can go on here all night, really. We played with a band called Teardrop Explodes.
Right.
I don't know if you remember them from Liverpool. We supported Martha and the Muffins. Remember that? Echo Beach. That was the marquee. Because our record company, Charisma, before they sold out the Virgin, they had an office upstairs. So we'd always get gigs at the marquee. Yeah, we did quite a few, tours and that. So we met quite a few people, Spear of Destiny, New Model Army, all these bands that didn't really get that big, but they had a bit of a following.
Awesome. This is a song by you guys, The Opposition. My Room is White. Remember this song?
Yeah, I do.
Where'd you write this one?
Yeah, I pretty like this one. Where did we write it?
Yeah.
Well, like we always did, we used to go down to the studio and I think we jammed this one out. We came out with a rhythm and Mark took it away and came back with a melody line.
Awesome. My Room is White, The Opposition. You're in the Garage 96.1 with Ralph Hall. You're on the Garage 96.1. We're joined by Ralph Hall, the drummer from The Opposition, on the Big Breakfast Show with Wilson and Connor. Ralph, I want to ask you what your favourite album was to work on with The Opposition and why.
I'd say the first two, really. The first album, what we used to have to do, because we did it on our own, the first album, we worked through the night, so it was called downtime. So we'd get a call when they finished a session from the producer we knew. He was engineering there at the time in Matrix, and we'd go down there at night and then we'd work through the night and come back at 7 in the morning. So, but yeah, I say the first two albums.
Okay,
really.
Because this May is the 35th anniversary, believe it or not, of your third album, Promises.
Okay.
Is that incredible to you? How You know, it's 35 years on.
Oh, now you say it, yeah. I can't believe it's all that time gone along. Yeah.
Did you quite enjoy making that album, or was that
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, a few tracks on there I liked, but I think the band lost its way a bit. We've been pushed to write singles, and Mark really wasn't coming up with them, and there was a lot of pressure. And we were still experimenting, but I think the band lost its sound a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
You were talking before about some of the concerts you've done around the world and stuff, and in particular one with the Mafia was involved. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, that was in Corsica actually, because we had a French manager. He got some gigs in Corsica, but well, I didn't know till we got there that was run by the Mafia.
Oh, so you didn't know before you got there that?
No, we didn't. And what happened was the organizer of the gig over there, he banked all the money in a safe deposit box, and then we've been followed around by the Mafia because they wanted their cut of the money. And I didn't want to argue because, you know, the jacket swung open, there was a gun in there, and I thought, I'll take the money, we'll run.
Did you actually have to give the money in the end, or?
I don't know, they had to work it out. Yeah, of course they had to do that.
Where else did you tour? Like you were saying before about Algeria. What was that like to tour Algeria?
Algeria. Well, it was weird. We were put in a hotel by the beach, and it was a big flash hotel. It took you about 2 hours to get served. It was all a bit weird. And you walk around the corner, and it was real poverty, you know. And we did a couple of gigs there. That was very strange because the audience were basically men.
Yeah.
It's a Muslim country.
Yeah.
That was quite an experience.
We're joined by Ralph Hall, from the drummer from the Opposition. This is The Cure, Boys Don't Cry, in the Garage, 96.1. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah.
And we're just wondering, what's your opinion, and what were the drummers that took over you since you left the Opposition in 85?
Well, what happened was they became a band called So, and they got all these session players in. So the drummer they replaced me with on that album was Steve Ferrone. He was the last Tom Petty drummer. And then when they toured, I think he was a bit too expensive for a tour, so they used Sterling Campbell, which was David Bowie's last drummer.
Yeah, sure.
And he's now, I think he's B-52's drummer.
Oh,
American guy.
I see.
Yeah.
You're in a new band now called the Winos. Did
Yeah.
they know you were from the Opposition before you joined the band?
No, I'll tell you the story. I went to a jam session in Woolston, and Jiff Leppard turned up. He plays bass, he plays guitar, he writes songs and sings, and I had a jam with him. And then we hit it off, and then we got this band together, and the keyboard player's called Holly. Sort of electronic, influenced by Sex Pistols, Devo, the Dickies, sort of that. I didn't want to start another Opposition band up. I wanted to do something completely different, and they're younger guys than me. So that's what I wanted to.
Right, fair enough.
So what music do you play with your new band?
What music?
Yeah.
Well, it's all our own stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit political. We do a track about Harvey Weinstein. We called it Weinstein. It's quite funny, really. Yeah, that's pretty good. We got one called Ban the Bag. That's about plastic bags. It's a bit more jokey, political.
Yeah. Because I can see one. You do one on Ted Bundy.
What's we do. The chorus goes, "Do the Bundy." I'll probably get locked up. Right.
This one here, Planet 9, we're just about to play. What's this one in particular about?
Planet 9. Well,
how'd you write it?
It's a space station, isn't it? No, it's a planet. Yeah. I think there is a planet called Planet 9.
Yeah.
We did it all in a day over in New Brighton. Actually, we did it all live, and Kieran recorded us, and he's producing us. He's from the Music Works. I'll give him a shout out.
Really appreciate it.
So it's a bit of a punk sort of attitude, really, that sort of thing.
Well, here it is now, Planet 9 by the Winos. It's Ralph Hall's new band. You're listening to The Garage, 96.1.